Well, our first guest is joining us in studio, Mr. John Hollis. So John is the CEO of Imaging3 Incorporated, IGNG is their stock symbol. John, welcome to the program.
Hey, Don, thanks for inviting me in. Appreciate it.
We're really pleased to have you on the program. We've been covering Imaging3 for a number of years. You just recently became CEO about less than 60 days ago. What was it about the company that attracted you to the position?
You know, Imaging3 has just such a compelling story. The device that we're developing is going to have such an impact, and that's what drives me and has driven me in my career. It can help patients, it can help the healthcare system, because it really is a fabulous tool. I also saw the company had had a challenging time, and I saw the commitment from some of the management and investors had actually brought them back to a place where there was a chance that this company could actually realize its dream. And that combination, the impact that we can have on healthcare, on patients, both in the United States and worldwide, as well as that opportunity to resurrect this great company, was very compelling.
A lot of people watching the program, of course, are familiar with the company. Some may even be shareholders in the company from way back when. But for those watching for the first time, hearing about you for the first time, tell us what the company does.
Yeah, so Imaging3 is developing as it sounds, an imaging device. It's an X-ray machine, but it's very unique. We have a proprietary technology that can take the X-ray in as quickly as a second and turn it into two-dimensional, three-dimensional, but in real time, which means you literally can take the X-ray in a second, and I can take that three-dimensional object and do slice throughs like a CT scan. Okay. CTs are the much bigger, more expensive, they require a lot of radiation, but I can take that, I can take an X-ray of your head, I can rotate your head, I can slice it, dice it, look inside of it, which is not something that anything else can do. And ultimately, that device can actually take that and help guide surgery. So in real time, you could actually have a radiologist who could be working with the surgeon and look inside of a person's body. Now, that's sometime downstream, but initially, it will be used to image bones or organs or whatever else, and then a healthcare practitioner can look at it three-dimensionally immediately.
What's amazing about it, from my perspective, is that it's portable. Mm-hmm. It's actually on wheels.
Right.
And it plugs into a regular 110 outlet. Healthcare facility or healthcare practitioner doesn't have to worry about all kind of infrastructure, change a building around. You just roll it in, put it to work.
You're right. So it's great that you point that out, because the device is probably going to ultimately weigh less than 150 pounds. So you could actually roll it around on wheels. You can plug it in anywhere, or if it were, say, in a community during an emergency setting, you could have a Honda generator because it's 110. The difference in what it does is the design of it is looks like an O-ring, kind of like the eye in Lord of the Rings. And the X-ray actually spins around that in a second, taking many, many pictures, which are then assembled through an algorithm and software to make this 3D model. But you could do that anywhere in the world. Wow. And you could do it it does far less radiation, but it does something which is more like the CT, which many of your viewers, listeners have actually been to a CT lab, where it's in a fancy room where you lock the door behind you, you're alone by yourself, and you're inside of a machine that delivers a lot of radiation in order to give a picture that's similar to what we do, but it can be done anywhere. It gives off very low radiation.
Well, as I mentioned, we've covered the company for several years. We've covered it through highs, we've covered it through lows. In a conversation you and I had off the air, you mentioned that you used the term rising phoenix. Yeah. Well, tell us what you meant by that.
Yeah, for those of you who remember Greek mythology, the phoenix was this long-lived bird that would resurrect itself out of the flames very often. And my meaning behind it is this company was roaring 10 years ago, as recently as 7 years ago. And the marketplace, and this is why it was compelling, the use of this device is so intuitive. People see how it could be used in so many different settings to provide something that could be beneficial. Unfortunately, some very big mistakes were made, some overreaching mistakes in terms of the application to the FDA, asking for too much without having the evidence to support that too much. And it wasn't because the device can't do the things. The work hadn't been done to actually prove to the FDA what to do. And unfortunately, that resulted in a collapsing of the company. The company actually went into bankruptcy. And for the last 3.5 years, these investors and management actually took the company through the BK process, the bankruptcy process, as well as the SEC remediation process, because they were delisted and then relisted. Really an incredible commitment, and very rare that a company can withstand that. But I think that's a testament to what this product can do. So last year, the SEC process concluded, that is, the last questions the SEC had were answered, and there were no more questions. The bankruptcy process ended also last year, and some of the regulatory work was concluded that hadn't been done before, because that obviously is our next step.
So everything is done with the SEC, everything's done with the bankruptcy, you moved on from that.
Correct. And obviously we're committed to doing all that we need to do to keep ourselves current with the SEC, and we're running ourselves as a very responsible company, and are quite transparent, because there's nothing, we gain no benefit in denying what happened. It happened. What I know is this product works, because I actually have gone and turned the product on, the Dominion, as we refer to it, the Dominion Smart Scan. I've turned the machine on, I've calibrated it, meaning I've connected the motion and the sensors together so that it could actually do its work. I've imaged a hand, and then actually sliced and diced it all myself. And I'm not really that much of a technical person, but I can do it, and it works.
So I'm sure now when you get up in the morning till the time you put your head back to the pillow at night, you're focused entirely now on the FDA 510K approval process. Is there any status update on that whatsoever?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Our focus is to do it correctly. Fortunately, the investors I spoke of and the management in the last couple of years did the first half of that process, which hadn't been done, which is ISO testing of the software. So they've had the software validated by one of the most prestigious regulatory companies. They've compiled all of the filings, they're called CFRs, all these binders that are famously supporting and are really the documents the FDA needs, which weren't done before. The second half of it is validating the instrument itself to make certain that the radiation that's emitted is within particular variances and tolerances, and that's the next step we have to do. It takes about 3 months. We know the company that's going to do it, we know how much it's going to cost. There's another month after it to compile what's called the 510K, and then we'll submit that to the agency. Between there and here, we'll actually meet with the agency and tell them where we're going, hopefully gain agreement that our plan sounds reasonable. And I've had a chance to review all of the documents and communications from it, and I'm confident that we've learned a lot from that and are bringing in the right regulatory people to help us do that pathway correctly.
Once again, Imaging3, IGNG is their stock symbol. John, why is this a good time for people to take a closer look at the company?
Well, it gets back to the compelling message. Here's this incredible product with all this potential. Investors understood the potential of this company back when, and it really was a darling at the time. Now, you might say that we're at the other end of the extreme. We have come out of repairing these different issues, the SEC and the bankruptcy. We're bringing in team members. You can see we've started a scientific advisory board, brought in some really prominent radiologists to give us insights. So we're building the team and the extended team to be able to go through this FDA process and really realize the dream for the company.
Well, we're really looking forward to watching over the next several weeks. I know we'll have several other interviews with you. Again, Imaging3, IGNG. Fabulous, John. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Don.